Warren stories, there's never really been a victim, and this is a story where was a very public case. This was a murder trial, and where, someone claimed, Arnie claimed demonic possession.
Whatever is going on, whatever happened that day, that was not Arnie.
So, Michael, there are a lot of references to another horror movies like The Exorcist. There is some, I think, Carrie or Evil Dead or Psycho, and I hope I am not mistaken, but the most interesting reference for me is The Maiden, this amazing short film, your short film, with the waterbed scene. So you bring back some classic horror movies and also your own work. It was on purpose, or there is no reference to The Maiden at all, and it was just my imagination?
No, absolutely. There is definitely and I think even in the villain that we have, I think there's definitely shades of The Maiden in that. With The Maiden, I'm really proud of that little short film, and honestly, that's what got James's attention and got New Line's attention, and eventually got me La Llorona, and then also this film. I think that, the Conjuring movies are, even from the very beginning, the very first one was so much a love letter to the genre. It was, it stood on its own as its own horror film, but it was also, you could see shades of The Changeling. You could see, shades of these other movies. And I think that conversation, almost those Easter eggs, those homages to other, films in the genre, I think there's something great about that. Just like a franchise would have Easter eggs within itself, I think being able to, have nods, kind of, little homages, respectful nods, Easter eggs. There's kind of, everyone has a different word for it, to kind of other movies that it, inspired it. I mean, even, actually Nightmare on Elm Street, the fourth one was, that there was a waterbed sequence in that, inspired, was definitely kind of part of the inspiration. And it's funny because my AD, assistant director, he actually worked on that Nightmare on Elm Street. So, he was, just, I think we're kind of, yeah, exactly the connection.
But I think this movie is special and even more interesting than the others, because it doesn't matter if I believe in demonic possessions, or you or Patrick or Michael believe in demons. At the end, we are talking about a real-life tragedy. So it's hard to feel empathy for Ernie Johnson. And I personally respect the Warrens. And in real life, as we can see in this movie, the Warrens believe in Arnie's innocence. So it was a dilemma for you. It was confusing for you.
No, it's not confusing to me. It's not. I know that Lorraine believed that. I just know that I can't, it was very clear to me what Lorraine believed in life, and what she could perceive, and she believed hook, line, and sinker in negative. There were abhorrent, grisly, dark entities that influence us. That there is this thing called the enemy, and he is trying to defeat you. And so, I mean, I just go full throttle in that direction. It's just who I'm playing. It's her concept of God, and I have to honor it, right? But I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Patrick, what do you?
No, I think you're spot on. I think anytime you're playing, I mean, the last thing you want to do is judge your character. It's what they believed. So I think as far as any with respect to the victims, and specifically the murder victim, I guess I feel like the changes that were made, or whatever life rights, or however that's sort of above our pay grade, as we say. Those decisions are made before we come on board, so I have to trust my director and my producers and writers in the studio, and that's not a cop-out. It's just we're playing people who believe this. Yeah. Just like I've played really horrible people that have done horrible things, and I don't judge them either. I just try to figure out what they believe.
Hey, you okay there? Jesus. I think I hurt someone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really great question, and it's something I'm not sure about at all. Like, I'm sure it's lost to everyone what really happened. Even Arnie himself, I'm sure, has some different version of what happened in his own memory. For me, in my process, I was just concentrating on Arnie. What does he see as a character in the film? And he doesn't know. The important part is that he doesn't know because the Warrens tell him he isn't possessed. So he has to kind of grapple with the fact that maybe he's just losing his grip on his sanity, or he is evil or something. So it changes from scene to scene, and he's not quite sure. If I, with my big scientific cynic hat, got in there and said, oh, this is definitely what happened, or this is definitely what didn't happen, I'd kind of pierce the balloon of illusion, which is a phrase I'm going to coin. And I'm glad I didn't. And now I really don't know what happened. I think there needs to be a good documentary on it that really explores it, because everybody loves true crime, and I think that would be more the avenue to explore what really happened. Our film is a different thing, really.
Ed says something very interesting in the movie, and he says something like, if we accept the existence of God in the justice system, we need to accept the existence of the devil. And that's very, very, very interesting. I never thought of that. So, because if we believe in Arnie's innocence, we are accepting that the devil is among us, and it's not necessarily a demonic possession or a ghost or a cursed object. It's maybe a woman with an obsession like the villain in this movie. So what do you think about this?
I mean, that's my movie right there. I mean, that's literally, when I think about, every time that I read a script, even if there's playing some outlandish character, I try to figure out, okay, what's my way in? Like usually if I've turned down a movie or something, it's because I couldn't find my way in. Like I didn't get it. I didn't get the guy. It's really usually that simple. And if I were reading this objectively, having not played Ed for 9 years, that would have been my way in, and that was because I can relate to that. Because I think that's fascinating. I'm more of a separation of church and state. Why is that even in there anyway? I don't know what happens if I'm Jewish. Do I have to hold on to a Bible? I don't know. I literally don't know. So maybe I need to read up on that. But that does fascinate me. People's reliance on religion. That religion is the truth. If you put your hand on a Bible, you're going to tell the truth, which we know is not true at all. Meaning, people lie all the time in court, whether they're found out or not. So Ed's point is completely valid. In his mind, he believes in God and the devil. That's what he believes in. So if you're going to hold a Bible, then you better believe what's behind that. And to him, this is a man that was so well versed in demons. Priests would come to him to ask about certain demons, and he's incredibly skilled in the sort of darker forces at play in religion. So that was like, I got it. I'm in with him because I can understand it from that perspective. Has nothing to do with how I feel as Patrick. Doesn't matter. That's what Ed believes, and I go, I got it. I'm in.
It's a witch's totem. We think your family was cursed, and that connection's still broken.
I think that it's funny, that was one of my favorite lines, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think that this is, up to this point in the Conjuring movies and the Warren stories, there's never really been a victim, and this is a story where was a very public case. This was a murder trial, and where, someone claimed, Arnie claimed demonic possession. If there's a haunted house story and no one gets hurt, it's easy to kind of like play with the idea of like, maybe I believe, maybe I don't. But all of a sudden, this is a story and an incident where, a jury was actually asked to decide. His peers came together and this claim was debated, and we asked a court to make a judgment on this. So all of a sudden, these scary stories, this haunted house story, all of a sudden it has, a lot more importance and weight to it. And I think all of a sudden faith has more weight to it. So I think that's one of the things I really liked about it. That's one of the things that kind of drew me to the story.
The common thread in most of the Conjuring universe is the Catholic religion, you know? The priest, the battle between God and the devil, the manifestations, exorcism, holy water, rosaries, you know, all this stuff. So what do you think about the possibility to explore some other religions and beliefs that also confront evil in a different way, not in this universe, but in another movies, because we are used to see the Catholic religion in the middle.
You're right. It is often Catholicism, and I think the reason is because the iconography is really familiar to people. And you know, I'm Irish. I grew up Catholic. I went to a Catholic secondary school. I mean, it's grotesque. You've got Jesus on the cross with the blood coming down from him, and he's strangely muscular all the time as well. Also strangely Caucasian. But I mean, and you've got Mary with like blood coming down her eyes and all of the, like, it's incredible. But you're right, there should be, what other religions would there be that we would go for? Like, I guess, Buddhist things. I've often thought maybe a movie about a meditation retreat could be quite a good horror, you know, really going into the depths of what happens, maybe people's minds switch. I don't know, I think maybe Blumhouse could probably make that one. But yeah, I think it's a really good question, and if I write a movie about another religion, I'm gonna credit you.
Thank you very much, Ruairi, for this movie, for your character and your time for this interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Greta. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.